Hey there! First, I would like to say thank you so much for purchasing from Medicines by Lily. Second, thank you for, not getting upset when I put my shop on vacation, because it did resend the message about 5 times. Unfortunately, as you know, when you go in vacation mode, it does auto-reply to anybody that messages you or tries to look at your shop. It's got an automatic message that it sends out. So thank you for being patient about that. Let me go ahead and show you what I've got out today. As always, I have a white tea light candle representing spirit. Yours, mine, your significant others, just spirit in general. God, goddess, whatever you want to call it. Selenite for attracting all kinds of positive energies. Black tourmaline for deflecting negativity and kind of creating a barrier around the reading table. Aquamarine for communication. Black granite, which to me represents the masculine principle or the male in a relationship. Amethyst for psychism and clairvoyance. Rose quartz for love, self-love, healing in terms of love. And to me, rose quartz represents the female principle, or just the female in a relationship. Peacock ore for overcoming obstacles. It is also a really good one to use for psychism, clairvoyance, divination, all of that. Over here I have a beautiful piece of emerald, which is really good for connecting to the heart chakra and for dealing with and healing really difficult emotions and just kind of healing the heart. Right here I have rainbow fluorite, which is good for balancing energies. Lapis lazuli for truth or getting to the heart of the matter. And tucked away back here, I have a piece of turquoise to represent the divine. And since I know that you like to work with angels, I went ahead and brought in my Angelite crystal, which is, as the name implies, it's used for angelic guidance, connection, healing, protection, all of that good stuff. And right here is my beautiful clear quartz for clarity. When I was picking out your cards and crystals and the deck and everything, this incense really jumped out at me. It's jasmine, which I believe is good for like prophetic dreams and kind of delving into your intuitive side. But when I asked the incense why it wanted to be used for your reading today, it told me that it's a really good scent to have around you when you're having trouble with the heart chakra, whether it's dealing with heart emotions or just having difficulty getting that particular chakra to open up and kind of get it cleansed and working again. So that's why I brought this jasmine incense into the reading today. I went ahead and shuffled these cards. This is the Psychic Tarot by John Holland. I'm sure that you're familiar with it, but I went ahead and already shuffled the deck, so I don't have to make you sit for 3 or 4 minutes while I do that. So let's go ahead, and the first card in your reading is a significator, or what you need to know right now in this moment. And we have 5, conflict and defeat. So this deck is set up a little bit differently. The way that he did it, the way that the author did it, he did base it on traditional tarot, but he did change a few things. There are no court cards in this deck, and some of the meanings for the Ace through 10, some of them have been changed up a little bit from traditional Rider-Waite meanings. But this card is linked directly to the Five of Wands, I believe it is. And it signifies, a conflict that has arisen, that has come up, and it's left you feeling like you've lost the war, when in all actuality you may have lost the battle, but the war is not over. This is what you need to focus on right now, is exactly that. You may have lost the battle, but the war is not over. So in other words, the relationship that you came to me to examine, it is not over. There's a little battle going on right now, and I have a feeling that your significant other, your soulmate, he's the one that's taking on this battle right now. But because he is the one that's dealing with it, you are the one that suffers the consequences. Does that make sense? The last relationship that I was in a similar situation. He was having some issues with himself personally, and he was taking them out on me. And I decided for my own good that it was best to just walk away. But the way that you are feeling about your soulmate, to you it's worth the fight. And seeing this card as the one that comes up saying the war is not over, the relationship is not over. It is worth fighting for. So just rest assured that your first intuition on that was correct. So alrighty, the next card is any past issues that could be affecting the relationship. And we have 21, Universe. Like I said, I feel like your significant other is kind of having a battle with himself, and you are the one that has been suffering the consequences of it. And 21, the Universe, again, this one hasn't really changed in meaning. It still signifies, the end of a cycle, the not necessarily happy ending, but there is an ending, the end of a chapter. Not necessarily the end of the book, but the end of a chapter. And what I'm feeling is that your soulmate has come to a couple of realizations about himself and about his life, and it has scared the crap out of him. And so in a way it's almost like he's going through a midlife crisis, but it's more of just a spiritual crisis where he is trying to find his way back to his heart center, to his spiritual heart center, where a lot of people tend to get lost. This is the past issue that has come up, where he has come to these realizations and he's been trying to make some changes, and I know that you have as well. And so the changes he's been trying to make have been negatively affecting you because he is most likely not doing what would be best for him to do. I know a lot of people get confused when they think, well, this decision is going to impact this person, therefore it's going to be a negative impact. But that's not always the case. The other person may perceive it as having a negative impact. But the truth is that, if you don't directly hurt them, you're not kicking them out of your life, you're not trying to keep them off your path in any kind of way. It's just that you're going in a different direction. Or in his case, he's the one that's going in a different direction, and he's not bothering to, bring you along in the sense that you bring along your significant other or your soulmate. And so this issue is the one that is directly affecting your relationship right now. So, alright, next card is present challenges to the relationship. And we have 5, throat chakra. communication. Communication is what is the challenge to the relationship right now, which is exactly what I was feeling, even if I couldn't put it into the right words, where he is having to deal with all these issues personally, like within his own spirit, within his own mind, and he doesn't quite know how to communicate them to you, and he may not even know how to communicate them to himself, which is where we see him having that battle with himself, being unable to access his higher consciousness, where intuition lies, where we hear our personal guides and all that. So communication is a direct, it's directly linked to the issue that we saw here with the universe. And so this is what is keeping you guys apart right now, is that lack of communication in terms of personal growth and development. And I don't know how often you guys discuss it. I'm trying to think of the last reading or two that I did for you. And if I remember correctly, he's not very, how do I want to say this? He's not very open with his spirituality. And a lot of people really are not, but that doesn't mean that they're not spiritual people. And so having this as the issue, this is going to be probably the hardest obstacle to overcome in your relationship with this person. Whether you guys remain a couple or remain friends, this is probably going to be the biggest hurdle that you guys will have to jump. And seeing as it's a spiritual blockage, it may come up more than once. That is what I'm feeling. Because when someone has issues with communication, it tends to be a chronic condition. It tends to be a lesson that person has to learn. That's one of their lessons here on Earth, is to figure out how and when and to whom to communicate certain things to. So, alrighty. Our next card is the lesson or purpose of your relationship. And we have 3. I believe this is the 3 of Swords. Heartache and loss. So this is a beautiful card, but it doesn't always have such a beautiful meaning. The purpose of your relationship, looking at this 3 of Swords, is to figure out, both of you have to figure out how to overcome this feeling when you guys are separated. And I know that the relationship is a long distance one, but a lot of long distance relationships work because the people involved communicate and actually, they make each other feel like, they see each other every day. They're constantly with each other on a spiritual level, on an emotional level, on a mental level. The physical level would be the only thing that's missing, which, is still really hard to get over, but it can be done. And I'm not saying you haven't tried your best, because I know you have, but for some people, that lack of physical contact, being able to hold hands, being able to kiss goodnight, being able to just walk down the street, arm in arm, being able to hug, the lack of physical contact can really kind of drag their feelings toward the relationship down. I know that was one of the issues that I had with the last man that I was in a relationship with. But anyway, so this is, excuse me, I'm trying to get over a bit of a summer cold, so excuse me while I take a drink. Okay. So, the lesson that you guys have to learn from this relationship is being able to overcome that feeling of loss, and maybe trying not so much to compare the relationship to past relationships. I know that is an issue I've been having. I've met somebody new, and that is an issue that I have been having, is even though I didn't go into this relationship thinking about my past relationships, they're still affecting me, because I keep subconsciously comparing his behavior to my ex's behavior, my behavior now to my behavior then. And, even though it's still a long distance relationship, seeing the problems from a different perspective is really helping me to slowly overcome them. And so the distance between you guys right now, I think, is going to give you both a different perspective on the long distance thing. I'm just trying to figure out how to overcome that feeling of separation and the feeling of loss, of not having that person right next to you all the time. So, alright, our next card is, how is he changing? And we have I believe this is 9 of Cups. Fulfillment of wishes. So at the beginning of the reading, I said that it almost felt to me like he was having a midlife crisis, even though he's not old enough to have a midlife crisis. But this card kind of restates that, where right now he's not focused so much on the relationship, but trying to figure out who he is, where he is, why he's here, trying to find his personal power, trying to find his masculine identity. And, so he's having that battle with himself, and you're the one that is suffering the consequences. And so this card is kind of a good omen to me. It kind of signifies to me that he's doing well. Excuse me. He's doing well on this little journey that he's going on, this personal journey. But at the same time, having him try to kind of find himself and fulfill some of his personal dreams and desires, it kind of sucks, because it's negatively affecting you, because he's not taking you along for the ride. I know that he said he wants to be friends, he still wants to talk to you, but it's very difficult when you still feel so in love with someone to be able to talk to them on a semi-regular basis, if not a regular basis, without, getting that feeling and just becoming overwhelmed and dragged down by it. But this is how he is changing right now. He is trying to find himself, basically. But I personally don't think that he's doing it the right way. I don't know. I'm not one of his guides. I don't see where it's headed. I don't know the exact circumstances. That excuse me, that might actually be something that you could talk to your guides about and maybe get a little bit more clarification on, since you are so close to him. So, alrighty. Next card is, how can you support him during the changes that he is going through? And we have 12, sacrifice. So in traditional tarot, this would be the Hanged Man, excuse me, which is all about gaining a new perspective. It's all about looking at things a little bit differently. Not necessarily changing your views on them, but looking at it from a different angle. And in a lot of cases, that does require sacrifice, which is why the author changed the title of this card to Sacrifice. And so in your case, it would be sacrificing your need to express romantic love, so that you can express just a general love for him while he goes through these changes. So keep in touch, try to be friends with him, and just, try to support him while he goes through these changes. That's basically what this card is saying. And that's how you can help him get through it until he is able to communicate a little bit better, because he will understand his own heart a little bit better. So our next card is How Are You Changing? And we have 6 of, I believe this is wands or swords. I'm not sure. But moving on. So, yeah, I believe this is the 6 of swords. But anyway, the number 6, I think, ironically, is actually used in the tarot a lot more often than it should be, because the number 6 is a mothering number. It is the number of motherhood. It's compassionate, it's nurturing, it's kind and caring, it's got that, taking care of people energy. And I think that you by nature are a caregiver. A lot of people are. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's nothing that you should really deny to yourself. Because being a natural caregiver it's a blessing. You're the one that gets to see the dark side, the light side, the angry side, the happy side, the childlike side of anybody who opens their heart to you. And as a natural caregiver, a lot of people tend to do that. Another thing, I know that you are a card reader like myself, and something I've noticed about us, about card readers, is that most of us are natural caregivers. That is why we go into this field, is because we want to help people make their lives better. We want to help them heal. And having this come up as how you're changing, it doesn't mean that you're moving on from your path. It just means that you're letting go of the pain. You're trying to get to the heart of the matter and find out, okay, well, is the relationship really worth fighting for romantically, or would it just be better to, stay friends, or, just let him go entirely? It's you have the desire to let go of the pain and the confusion because you have so many other things that you're involved in. There are other people in your life that you care about. You've got your job, you've got clients, you've got, there's so many other things going on, so many other people that you care about, that your desire to just let go of the pain and confusion is what is drawing you to do this, to ask the questions and get the answers, and that's normal behavior. That really is. So let's go ahead and see how he can support you through this kind of, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it right, maturation. Did I pronounce that right? But this personal stage of maturing that you're going through, where your subconscious is saying, okay, well, you know, it's okay that I'm feeling this, but I can't stay here. I have too many other things that are important to me. So let's see how he can support you through that. And we have 9, solitude. So the vibe that I'm getting from this card is not that he needs to leave you alone, but that he needs to make up his mind whether he wants to be friends with you right now, or if he wants to take some time away from the relationship, find himself, and come back as your partner. This card, you know, it's the Hermit in traditional tarot, and it has a lot of bear energy, like bear totem energy. And that energy is all about going within and finding the answers to your problems. But the first step is always finding out what the problem is before you can actually find the solution. And so that's the vibe I'm getting from this card is, you know, that he needs to make up his mind to let you help him through it, or he needs to take time away from the relationship completely and figure it out and come back as your partner. Because the way that I'm interpreting it, if he did not still love you in that way, he would not try to keep you as a friend. You know, it's because it's not an easy thing to do. And anybody that has ever been in a relationship at all, whether it was in high school, college, elementary school, when you start to develop when you start to develop feelings for someone, it's not that easy to just walk away from it. And I'm sure that he understands this. So, you know, he does. He needs to figure out what it is that he wants to do in terms of the relationship before making any kind of decision, because he does have a lot of work to do personally. So, okay, our next card. Where is forgiveness necessary within the relationship? And we have 6, harmony. So in traditional tarot, this would be the Lovers, which often does symbolize harmony. It's that yin-yang kind of balancing each other out energy. But it also represents unconditional love. And so I don't know if one of the changes that you made personally has made him feel like an outsider in the relationship, but that's what he's doing to you now. And so that is where the forgiveness is necessary. Whether it's on your part and his, or just on your part, I am not entirely sure. That's something that he needs to figure out how to communicate to you. But it's that where you, if not both of you, need to forgive him for disrupting the harmony of the relationship, because it is a very difficult thing to go through so many personal changes, as I'm sure that you know. And so I know that you are going to be willing to forgive his actions if he can figure out what it is that he wants and what it is he needs to do, and figures out how to communicate it. This doesn't mean that he has to tell you every detail about his day. You know, it doesn't mean that he has to tell you every single thought, you know, during the process of transformation. Just kind of get to the end product. But, because relationships only work when the two people are honest with each other. And, you know, again, that doesn't mean that you guys have to share every detail of every day with each other. That kind of gets a little bit excessive and a little bit draining. So, it works out better if you don't share every little detail about everything. But the big stuff is what needs to be shared. And so that is where the forgiveness comes in, is if he figures out how to communicate to you, I know that you'll be able to step up and just say, okay, it's okay. I understand. And so that is what this card is saying, is that that's all that's really needed to repair the relationship. If he figures it out and he communicates it, and communicates his desires, his feelings, what it is that he needs from you, then things will end up working out just fine. So, alrighty. Next card is where to go from here. So what would be the next step? 9, spiritual strength. Again, I'm not really sure what suit this belongs to, but 9 seems to be coming up a bit in this reading. We've got 3 9s so far in the reading. And so the number 9 is very much a feminine power number. It is a number of the goddess and the triple goddess. Therefore, it is a holy number. And so the number 9, I think, is very, very significant for you right now. So go ahead, go online and do a little research if you're not really familiar with numerology. I like the study of numbers myself, but I know quite a few people who would rather study astrology, and that's not really something I'm interested in. But seeing this card, spiritual strength, what I am feeling from it and how to go from here, or where to go from here rather, is while he is on his journey, it might be time to take one of your own, so that while he is away dealing with things that only he can deal with, you will be able to find the strength that you need to not feel lost, to not feel guilt or shame, or even really depression. I mean, when somebody goes through something like what your soulmate is going through, it's not easy under any circumstances to be the partner, but it can be done. They just have to know that you'll still be there when they get home. When they finally find themselves and come back, when they get home. Even if it's not, even if it's a long distance relationship. And so that is where to go from here. It might be a good idea to take that step back and refocus your energies on you while he does the same thing. Alrighty, last card is a potential future of the relationship. And we have 5 of Cups, I believe this is, emotional loss. So I very rarely interpret this card as emotional loss, because usually that's not actually what it means. The Rider-Waite definition for this card is where the person has issues focusing on the blessings that they still have. Where the person, or you in this case, or him, I'm not really sure which right now, but where the person focuses on the negative rather than the positive, looking at what they don't have rather than what they do have. And I think that this may be a problem that comes up later in the relationship, whether you remain friends or whether, you guys decide to get back together as a couple, where one, if not both of you, will probably start feeling that sense of, well, what if I had been able to go and do this, but instead I stayed here with you. It's focusing on what you don't have rather than what you do have. And, if you guys end up deciding not to be together, that's where you're going to get stuck, is focusing on what you don't have rather than what you still do have. If you guys remain friends, that would be a blessing that you do have. If you guys end up splitting up, well, you've still got friends, you've still got family, you've still got a good job, you've still got, you have a chance to find love again. And right after a breakup, I know it's really hard to see things that way, and it's normal to experience that feeling of loss, but it's not a place to unpack and stay, because when you focus on the negative in your life, you tend to draw negative to your life. And so any positive opportunities that would come up, you'll miss. The next person that would capture your heart could walk right by you and you would never know it. It's little things like that. So just for the future of the relationship, whether you guys decide to stay friends, or if you decide to get back together, or if you decide to part ways entirely, try not to focus on the negative aspects of your life. And, make sure to let him know that he should do the same. Whatever happens, focus on the good things, focus on the good memories, focus on the good positive feelings that you guys had together. And that will help get through whatever hurdles are thrown your way. So I really do hope that this helps. And if you have any further, questions, please let me know. I never mind drawing an extra card or anything like that. I do have a pendulum for, yes, no answer, stuff like that. But, so yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know. I do hope this helps. And I would like to thank you again for purchasing from Medicines by Lily. And I am sending you tons of love and light and positive thoughts. And I am wishing you a blessed journey with this.